So now let's see how we can implement parallel cursor. 5 to 6 steps are there. We are just required to follow the steps. Okay. We are just required to follow the steps. So parallel cursor. Parallel cursor. So why it is used? So when we have multiple records, in case of our header table, then read operation will not work effectively. Read operation will not work effectively, as we will not be able to fetch all the records or fetch all the records from the header, as read statement only and only returns the first matching data, right? It only returns the first matching data. So if you are using read operation inside your loop, it will only return the first matching data from your header internal table. So you will not be able to get the second data or third data if you have duplicate data there also. Right?
Mhm.
So in this situation, we will be forced to use loop within a loop, right? Which is
Mhm.
nested loop. We will be forced to use. So to increase the efficiency, we can or we will implement the concept of parallel cursor, so that my inner loop should only should only execute for the matching or corresponding data of the outer loop, right? This is how we are writing our for all entries, right? We are bringing the matching data one by one from our item table based on the data that is present in the header table. This is what we are doing.
Mhm.
This is what we are doing now. So we will limit the performance of our inner loop, that instead of executing for all the records, it will only go for the corresponding records which are there in our header data. Only go for corresponding records which are there in our header data. Is this thing clear?
Yeah.
It's a very complex concept. Usually it is never taught in training. Okay. But once I have found it, I thought I should share with everyone, right?
Mhm.
Then always use parallel cursor when you are using nested loop. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a requirement. To display our employee and project details data together in a final internal table, and we are going to use for all entries to bring the data, right? So parallel cursor create parallel cursor. In the type, I will go for execute. I will select package into here. Now here, what we are about to do, we'll create our structure, right? First, So let's bring our structure here. From here I will bring my employee. This is my employee. Then I will go for project details. So types, begin of TY underscore project, employee ID, type employee ID, project ID, type project ID, project name, type project name, end of TY project. Then we had created our final, right? Same steps. So begin of TY underscore final. There we will use all our columns from here and from item also. So columns from header, then from the rest of the columns from item, end of TY final. Pretty printer, syntax check, activate. Then we will create our internal tables. So LT employee, type table of TY underscore employee, then ls employee, type TY employee, LT project, type table of TY underscore project, then ls project, type TY underscore project, then LT final. Is there any confusion?
No.
That's good. So final, ls final, type TY underscore final. Then we need select option. So I'll create a variable first, lv employee ID, type employee ID, select options. So as employee ID for lv employee ID. Go for it. Pretty printer, syntax check, activate. Then for my S employee ID, let's give a name. Go to text elements. In the selection text, I will give a range for employee ID. Activate. Then we were writing our queries, right? So select employee ID, employee name, department, manager, from table name, which is employee tab, into table LT employee, here employee ID in as employee ID. I will check for if not initial condition. This is again one of the best programming practices, right? If LT employee is not initial, then I will bring the data from my item table also. So select employee ID, project ID, project name, from table, which is project details. I believe this is the table. Yes, perfect. So project details into table LT underscore project for all entries in LT employee, where employee ID in as employee ID. Perfect, right?
Hmm.
For all in the where condition, oh sorry, no, it will not be in, it will be equal to, it will be equal to lt employee hyphen employee id. Yeah, now it's fine. Activate it. Now we have to store data in our final. So what we did, we directly implemented loop within a loop concept, right? This is
Mhm.
what we did in the previous session. We went for loop at lt employee into ls employee and loop. Then inside we used loop at lt project into ls project where employee id is equal to ls employee id. This is what we did, right? In it we stored final data. Let's just store it first, then I will show you how we are going to change it inside the parallel cursor. So first I will store my data. So how I stored the data? I stored ls final employee id is equal to ls employee id, right? Then we stored ls final employee name is equal to ls final employee name, then ls final department is equal to ls employee, oh sorry, here not date, will be employee. Where is your concentration? So ls employee department, ls final manager is equal to ls employee manager, or rest of will be from project, right? So ls
Hmm.
final project id is equal to ls project id, then ls final project name is equal to ls project name. At last we were appending, right? So append ls final to lt final and clear the work area.
Hmm.
Clear the work area. I will have my data. I will be able to display it now. Let's first display it and check it. If it is working fine, then we will see how what changes it needs. So ls final loop at lt final to ls final and loop, and we will write our data. So write ls final hyphen employee id, ls final hyphen employee name, ls final hyphen department, ls final hyphen manager, ls final hyphen project id, and ls final hyphen project name. Check for syntax. There is some issue.
Yeah.
Oh sorry, it will be into, not to. Let's execute it. I'll give you an entry 101 105. Execute. Right, we are able to see all our data now, but this is not a good approach. if you are directly writing this code and you will show it to your manager or you will show it to your client, whoever is your technical evaluator, he will never accept this code. He will never, nobody is going to accept loop within a loop directly. Instead, we are forced to follow five steps. Five steps. So let's see here. Step one. Sort the item internal table first. Just see how we are changing it. Sort the item internal table. So what I will do first, I will comment this. I will write here same thing. And I will comment this whole thing out. I will simply comment this whole thing out. Now just see how we are changing it. First we need to sort our item internal table. So sort LT project by employee ID, right? We will sort it by employee ID. Okay. Then we have the second step, step 2. Step 2 is just before the inner loop, just before the inner loop, we will use the read statement to fetch the matching data, matching item data, using binary search. Okay. First, we will bring the matching data from item using binary sort. So this is my inner loop. Just before it, I will use inner loop. So read table LT project. I will write a read statement on my inner loop, inner internal table. Sorry, item internal table. So into ls project with key employee ID is equal to ls employee hyphen employee ID, and then binary search, right? Binary search is mandatory here. Now if this read operation is true, if this read operation is true, so if this read operation is true, we will store the site tabix value in a variable. What is site tabix?
Index number of the table,
Which table?
the table which is
No, 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 no,
being
no, no,
run
no,
at
no,
that
no,
time.
no, 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 no. Do you remember two system variable, sci index and sci tabix? Sci index was there for two loops, do loop and while loop. There we were able to check the index number or iteration number. And I told you at that the same time that site tabix will be only used in case of loop within an internal table. Is this a loop within an internal table? Yes, it's a loop at internal table. Here we can use a concept of site tabix, it works. So what we will do, we will store the site tabix value in a variable. So define a variable here, data, just define a variable lv index, any variable. I will give its type as integer, and I am going to store the site tabix value in it. So lv index is equal to sci tabix, or first, always after read operation, always go for sci sub rc check, right? Right. Only five steps are there. Follow it and your job is done. So lv index is equal to sci tabix, sci tabix. lv index is equal to sci tabix. You will get the current iteration number into this. This is your second. Now rather than going for where condition in this inner loop, what we will do, we will go for condition on inner loop. We will go for condition on LV index. Here we will execute our inner loop for this variable now. So this will be your next step, or step 3. Step 3, no, sorry, not this one. Yeah, step 3. So rather than going directly on where condition in the inner loop, now we will only execute our inner loop, for the matching iteration of our LV index variable, where we have stored the site tab current iteration number of our outer loop. Okay, so directly you can remove here where condition, and you can write from LV index. Any doubt?
Mm,
A little bit complex it is, I know. You are seeing it for the first time.
yeah, this is not very clear. From LV index.
Yes, from LV index. This LV index, see what it is going to do. It will only store, if there is some data here, then it will only going to execute. If there is some data, then it is only going to execute. You can check this thing in the debugging mode. It will be more clear. We can check it. Okay. This much step is more than sufficient here. This much step is more than sufficient, but also you can write one more statement here. You can also check. So step 4 is there. We can also give one more check here inside our inner loop. Inside our inner loop, we can check for the matching data between header and item. So we can check it for the matching data between header and item. If it is working, then and only then we will go for the inner loop. Otherwise we can simply exit it. So if ls employee, which is my outer loop, if its employee id not equal to, this is not equal to sign here, you can use any also, not equal to.
Mhm.
So not equal to ls project project employee id. If it is not equal to, then there is no meaning of executing this inner loop. Okay, or
Mhm.
if it is equal to, then inside our else condition we will directly store our data. We are simply limiting the iteration number. Now in the else condition, you can directly write your storing part. It is not that difficult. It is just a way defined by some developer. Since I know it, I just wanted to show you. Okay.
Mhm.
So see what is going to happen. Now let's check it. I will put a debugger and I will show the beauty of this code. First, let's check the output, if it is working or not. Yes, we are able to see the data, right? We are able to see the data. Now let's go and check it. So I will put here a debugger on the outer loop. I will put here a debugger. I will go for execute button. I will give here an entry 105 and I will go for execute. Desktop 3. So now think about it. How many data we have? LT employee 5, right? We have got 5 data. If you go for LT project, how many data is there? 3 columns, right? 3 columns and 15 data. Now just see here. First my read table operation will work. So I'll go for F6, read operation. What is the side tab x value? 1. We are
Mm.
for first iteration inside the loop. Now just see, it is LV, its value will be stored in LV index. LV index value is 1. Now this loop is going to execute for this. Loop will execute for one time. So it will first check. Again, we have given another if condition, right? We have given another if condition. So if this is matching, then and only go for else. Otherwise, we can exit. This is just a step defined by a developer. You can develop your own step. Nobody is going to question you that. Nobody is going to question you that. Okay. 4 steps. Check the read. If its value is true. Now instead of directly matching it with this thing which we are using earlier, instead we will go for LV index variable. And again inside the loop we will check for one more condition. If it is working, then and only then, because you cannot, this is simply removing all the edge cases. Okay, all the edge cases that are there. You might face certain edge case which I am not able to show here,
Mhm.
right? We can have millions of data now, but we only have 15 and 5 records. So certain edge cases are still left behind. So this is simply taking all the edge cases. Very, very important. Only 4 steps are there, right? Only 4 steps. If you will take this one also, then it will become the 5 step. If you will take this one also, but only main 4 steps are there. Just check for use a binary search on your item table, store its value, then loop for that value, and then in it check if there is any matching data. If there is the matching data, go for it. Otherwise, exit from this inner loop and go for the next iteration of outer loop. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but this exactly what's happening from LV index, I'm not understanding. Because, for example, if we are at employee 101 and if we loop through it, I think it will loop 3 or 4 times through the LT project, right? The LV index 1.
Yeah, it will only go for 3 times now. Only 3 times. See, only go for 3 times. Second has been done. It is now going for third. Third time it
Mhm.
went. Went for third time. Now when it will come for the fourth one, just see when it will come for the fourth one. Here it will check. You cannot directly write this way na loop at LT project into LS project. It will become completely meaningless. So there is just first we are checking the matching data. If there is no matching data, then why we are coming here? There is no need to even check this condition, right? So
But
it is this from is there that if there is certain value, if there is certain value, that is why some value is getting stored here na. If this read operation will be true, then and only then certain value will be stored here. Otherwise no value will be stored. So if there is no value, by default its value is original 0 that has been given. So this loop will not execute, this outer loop will not execute. It will not go for that, it will directly go for next iteration. Just see, 3 iteration has been done. Now when I'm going in it, exit, so it will went for the next out and LT employee again. Now your site tab x value is still 1 for your outer loop. So it will check again, its value is now 4 because 3 iteration has been done here. So it's the reason we are writing this thing only so that if this is getting executed, then and only then we should
Mhm.
go for this one. Otherwise there is no need to go for that, right?
Okay,
Why my
okay, no, I was
compiler
just
should, yes, why my compiler should waste my time on that?
so this from LV underscore index in the loop statement, it checks if the LV index has a value or what does it do? From
Go and find it. Okay, this is your task for today. Tomorrow we shall discuss on it when Ellen will be here also. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. It's a very important thing. Actually, we were never taught this one when we were training, but later after some years I found this thing, so I added it in the topic also, so that the student can, or even any senior is getting trained, he can find this beauty of parallel cursor.